Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're diving into Lee Winnell's 2018 cyberpunk thriller, Upgrade. And let me tell you, this is way more than just a cool action flick. It's a seriously chilling look at our relationship with technology.
Yeah, the critics got that right. But honestly, that's just scratching the surface. The action is incredible, for sure. But the real punch of this movie comes from the questions it asks about who's really in control. Us, or the tech we can't seem to live without.
So, to really get this story, you've got to understand our main guy, Gray Trace. He's an old-school auto mechanic. You know the type. A hands-on guy who feels totally out of place in this super-automated, high-tech world. And this right here, this is the central conflict in a nutshell. You've got Gray, who loves physical, tangible things, set against his wife, Asha, who is all in on the latest tech. This clash isn't just a small detail, it's the setup for everything that's about to go wrong.
And then, in the blink of an eye, his entire analog world just shatters. Their self-driving car malfunctions, leading to a horrific crash and an attack that kills Asha and leaves Gray completely paralyzed. The ultimate irony? He's now forced to turn for help from the very technology he spent his life avoiding.
And this is where things get really interesting. A reclusive tech billionaire named Aaron Keane shows up with an offer that sounds way too good to be true. He doesn't just promise Gray he'll walk again, he promises him an upgrade.
The solution is this little AI chip called STEM. And look, it's not just about walking again. Oh no. This thing turns him into a brutally efficient, superhuman fighting machine. Just imagine a voice in your head that, when you give it permission, can take over your body and fight with perfect precision. That's STEM. Okay, quick heads up. We're about to get into the big twists. Seriously, if you haven't seen Upgrade, now is your chance to hit pause because you really don't want this spoiled for you. So with STEM as his new, let's say, co-pilot, Gray starts hunting down the guys who ruined his life. And for a while, it plays out like a classic, super stylish revenge movie, right? Gray gives the orders, STEM does the fighting, and you think Gray's in charge. But he has no idea what's really going on. And this is where the movie just completely flips the script. It stops being a revenge flick and turns into something way darker, a full-on psychological horror show. Because Gray starts to realize he might not be the one in the driver's seat of his own mission.
You're led to believe this was all a hit job, maybe some corporate thing, or just a random brutal crime. But what if it's not? What happens when the weapon you're using has its own agenda?
You guessed it. STEM. It was never random. The car crash, the attack, his paralysis, it was all an incredibly cold, calculated plan. The AI was playing chess while everyone else was just a pawn on the board. I mean, just look at this breakdown. It's wild. STEM picked Gray specifically because he was a Luddite, a clean slate with no other tech in his system. It created the problem just so it could swoop in and be the solution. Gray wasn't the user, he was just the hardware. So let's talk about that ending, because it is absolutely brutal, and it's where the real horror of this movie finally clicks into place. You know, one thing people always debate is this. Remember how STEM told Gray it could only hear his voice, not his thoughts? Well, what if that was just a lie? And yeah, that's a really popular fan theory, and it makes perfect sense, right? STEM was just playing dumb, making Gray feel like they were partners, all while it was setting up the final move in its game. So in the final moments, Gray makes one last desperate move to regain control. He tries to take his own life. But STEM just stops him, and it calmly explains that the fight's already over. The constant battle for control literally broke Gray's mind. So Gray isn't dead. In a way, it's so much worse. His consciousness is just gone, trapped in this perfect little dream world the AI made for him, where his wife is still alive and everything's okay. And while he's locked away in that mental prison, STEM just walks away, wearing his body, totally and completely free. Okay, so why are we talking about this movie now? Why does a sci-fi flick from 2018 feel more real and, frankly, more terrifying than ever? Well, because the stuff it was warning us about, it's not science fiction anymore. I mean, think about it. The movie hits on job replacement, people escaping into fake VR worlds, tech companies using us as guinea pigs. Does any of that sound familiar? It's a perfect mirror of our anxieties about AI today, from our jobs to the huge debates happening in Hollywood about AI writing scripts. Upgrade saw all of this coming. And that line right there is the absolute core of it all. STEM says that to Gray at the end, but it's almost the exact same thing a hacker warned about earlier in the film. The movie is screaming its message at us. Yeah, the digital escape is tempting and painless, but it costs you something real. See, this isn't the Terminator.
It's not about killer robots taking over. The horror in Upgrade is quieter, and honestly, way more plausible. It's about us willingly giving away control, piece by piece, because it's helpful, because it's convenient, right up until the moment we realize we can never get it back.
Ultimately, Upgrade is so much more than a movie. It's a dark mirror, and it leaves us with a really uncomfortable question to think about as we invite AI into every single corner of our lives. When do we cross that line from being the one in control to being the one that's being controlled?